If you do like drinking Coca-Cola, send us a picture of your... Which I think I did that really great.
Oh, you know what? I also want to know who calls it pop. Who calls
People
Coke pop?
people up north. What is it when they... Do you have that what they call it, telephone?
Oh, my customer service voice?
There you go, customer service voice.
Oh yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, it's I've heard myself. I don't remember who recorded me one time, but I got recorded on the phone while, I cringed so bad. I was like, why does the pitch of my voice change?
My voice is already high and it goes way higher when I'm doing my customer service voice.
Really?
But I'm really nice, which is, I guess, good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because I'm not that nice in person.
You are.
I don't think I am. I have my moments.
We'll just put it on a poll. For those of you who personally know Carolina, is she not? Yeah. It's funny. All right. So we're gonna start our episode 4, which is really cool. I think is a great accomplishment. Yeah. We're on episode 4, and we've discussed a lot of things. Most importantly, I've learned a lot. I mean, I honestly do hope that the people who have been listening have been able to at least take away a little something. Because I can tell you now, there are a lot of the topics we talked about. I mean, I think my husband tried to quiz me the other day. He was just like, okay, so tell me who, invented this, or one of the things we had talked about. I was like, okay, I didn't memorize it.
Yeah, it's not like a test, man.
But I do know a lot more than I did, before we had started all of this. So that's the whole goal of this, right? Our hope is
to learn something. For
us, more than anything. Like, of course, if other people benefit, this is great. But most importantly, like, this kind of started for us, for us to be able to learn more and put ourselves out there and just continue. I'm just gonna mess up my words.
It's okay, we all do.
So
I'm definitely gonna mess up a lot of words today.
A lot of words today?
Yeah.
I think we both do, so that's fine. As long as we accept it, right?
We understand it. It's fine.
Yep.
We can move past it.
All right, so let's jump in, I guess. Let's kick it off. Oh my goodness.
Oh dear.
Let's kick right into it. No foul play.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. Enough corniness. So I guess if nobody else picked up on it, I picked up on it. We're gonna be talking about soccer. Woohoo!
Oh.
I mean, I guess we'll just woohoo for every other sport we do decide to bring up, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we have to be fair and equal to all things.
Right?
I guess. Apparently.
Apparently. It's 2020. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we should be.
Huh?
We should be at all times.
That's true. I guess. Okay, so soccer is a sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think this.
That we both played.
We did.
We both played.
When did you play?
I played middle school and then like in a college team, but it's not like the college team. It was like a league, like a kind of a group. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I played.
So it doesn't mean I'm good.
I played 7th and 8th grade. So middle school for me. What position did you play?
I was defense.
Same here. I took pride in being a defense.
Yeah.
I would. See, I tell people all the time, like I never aimed the ball. Like I wasn't good at aiming the ball, but I just kicked the ball as hard as I could, and it would just fly away. So,
yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I wasn't good, but I was still on the team somehow. But yeah.
Same. So I think we talked about this before. Whenever we were deciding that this was a topic we were going to cover, about how I think more than anything, me myself, like you find out like, oh, where did these things come from, or where did they originate, and most people say it's from England, right? So when I did the digging, that's kind of where I started. I guess wanted to figure out, is it really England, or like how does this work? Like, where did it really originate from? So I think there's a key word in it that really explains why everyone says England. And so there's, I guess, the concept of soccer and kicking the ball around into a goal and all of that really started like from the back, like the Mayans and the Aztecs and all of that, and even like the Chinese were known to like kick a ball around into nets. But the reason why people say that it originated from England is because England actually formalized the game. They set up rules and like the whole regulation for who should play what and how things were set up, which is, I mean, good for them. That way there was like a set of rules where like everybody can play and everybody could follow. So which is nice. Yep. And I'm pretty sure I guess everyone else had their own version of the rules, kind of like Monopoly or Uno, how everyone has their own version of what you can and cannot do.
We play it this way.
Exactly.
And then you're like, well, your way is wrong.
Exactly. And so I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it worked with these other groups. But I think it almost makes me feel like England was like, no. There's none of that. Let's create this, let's set the record straight, and this is how it's going to be done. Yeah. So if you ever get asked, that's honestly the best way to describe it or to answer it. And that's why, and that is why it's such a huge deal in England, is because it kind of rooted from that formalization of like, creating, like setting the rules, setting the guidelines, and then moving forward. One of the things that I thought was interesting, and this comes from the same article where I'm getting this whole, like, England formalizing things, is that the penalty kick was actually introduced in 1891, which, again, if you're formalizing the rules and all of that, it's really interesting that, like, something that is so well known and as a part of the game, you find out that a part of it wasn't, like...
It wasn't there from the very beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I mean, the way I like how one person worded it was in its current form, it arose from England. It wasn't like that's where it originally started for everything. It was like that's kind of where it is. How we play it now is kind of where it started from. Okay. Not so much the game in its own.
Oh, that is nice. That's a simpler way of summing it up. Or,
I mean, yeah, but like what I did want to bring up was one of the cultures that kind of played it before then. You had brought it up like in the Mayans and the Aztecs and stuff. Well, the way they play it with the ball would symbolize a sun. And so the captain of the team that lost was actually sacrificed to the gods, which is so crazy. Like, their life depended on this game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it was like, well, I went to like one of the ruins and they were talking about it and they still had the little hoop. So the hoop they hid it in. See that. It's like on the side of the wall, right? Yeah, so it was so crazy. I was like, to think that you were playing this game and it wasn't just for fun. It was literally your life hung in the balance. But you were also happy because you were sacrificing yourself to the gods. So it's kind of like a weird...
like an honorable, I guess, way of dying.
There you go. Okay. Honorable.
Isn't there a movie called El Dorado where they play that game?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because every time, I remember when I went to Chichen Itza, and they had that there as well. I hope I'm not making that up, but I remember they had the hoop on the wall, on the side of the wall. So
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the first time I heard about it was from El Dorado.
Oh, gotcha.
So, Disney coming in clutch with my soccer history. But yeah, it's crazy how far back this thing goes.
That is true. Another, I guess, concept of the game that also got introduced much later. Well, not much later, but was, I guess the red and yellow cards were introduced during the 1970 World Cup finals. So that also tells me another thing. So again, you go back to like, oh wow, it wasn't it didn't originate from the same, concept. or like the rules that were formalized. But I guess in a World Cup finals like that's a huge deal for you to then suddenly say, okay, now we're coming up with this like basically slap on the hand. Like if you're gonna get a yellow card, that's like okay once, and then the red card's like, all right, dude, you're out.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's crazy. It's not even that long ago either. Like, I mean, it still seems like a crazy amount of time, but with 1970, you said? Yeah, that's at a huge game like that. They're like, hey, during this big moment in your life, this is where you decide all these rules.
Well, and I guess it does take that kind of setup or that kind of concept to then realize, you know what, we have to do something about like what is acceptable, what isn't, or what could cost you really the win. So yeah, it's pretty interesting how things, you know, get brought up until you're in that you have to experience something. You have to experience something to then realize that you're in need of it.
True. Oh, okay.
All right. So going on, so that we've kind of established its origination, I thought it would be really cool just to give a quick overview, because the fact of the matter is, I mean, everyone has a preference on their sport. I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I grew up in a Hispanic home, so that was a thing. Like my dad played soccer, my brother played soccer. Like I would play soccer only because they would do tricks on me and have fun. You know, that whole concept when your brother has you play video games, but not so much because he wants to play with you, but because he wants to beat you in practice. Yeah. Excuse me. So that same concept with soccer, playing and watching it. So I have that background, but I do realize that there are people who that is like soccer's not their thing. They may not know everything. So just a quick overview of the concept of the game. The objective, like most, is to basically score more points in the allotted time. So it is a 90-minute game, 45 minutes each half. So there's 2 halves. And then 15 minutes for your halftime. You can have extra time after each half, but the referee will determine that based off of if there were injuries. Important thing to note is, unlike like football, American football, the time runs through the game. Like you don't stop if a player falls down. Like your time will continue to run, and that's how a referee will determine, okay, if there was an injury, then we'll go ahead and make up for that time. Not every game will have added time. Sometimes they say, you know what, this was a fair play, there's no need to make up for it, and it's a 45-minute play. Let's see. So that's the time period. Now, each team has 11 players, including your goalie. So you have your goalie and then 10 players on the field. Substitutions can be made at any time during the game. Usually they do it when like the ball goes out of the sidelines, and then they'll I'll let them know that, hey, we're going to do a substitution. You get a max of 3 subs, and then you have one referee, which is the one running around in the field, and then you'll have two assistants, which are called linemen. They assist whenever there's an offside. And I'm gonna try to explain what offside is, because it's an important part of the game, especially when you're watching, because you know, if you're cheering for your team and suddenly and I used to ask this all the time, like, okay, why they stop, or wait, they were so close, why didn't they score a goal?
Yeah, why did they score?
So anytime. And I'm a visual learner too, so this might be extremely hard and it may be confusing, but I'm going to do my best to just simplify it and explain really quick. So you have different positions on the field. We mentioned that we play defense, or we play defense. So that means that you are the last line of defense. Or, yeah, really. There's your goalie, and then as a defense, you have to make sure that you don't allow the opposing team to come closer to score a goal. Now, sometimes your defense will all be kind of like scattered. Pretend there's like an imaginary line. Some of them will be further up, and maybe one of them will be lingering in the back.
Yeah.
If the opposing team runs past that last defense, then that's when the flag goes up, and that's considered an offside. Yeah. Because if there's no offside, basically, the opposing team could be hanging out by the goal, like the opposing goal, like the whole time. And to prevent that, that's whenever the flag goes up. So, offside is a big part of the game. And then again, we talked about yellow card and red card. Yellow card is a warning, and a red card is a dismissal of that player. If you get a red card in a game, you're out. Like, your team cannot substitute you. That means you're one player short. And that's a huge deal because you're at a disadvantage because you've lost, again, a player. You're one man short. So, and then one last thing. 2 yellow cards within the same game does equal a red card. So, don't be tripping people or... and especially, like, if you argue with the referee, like, he's in his right to determine, hey, you deserve a yellow card. So if he calls it on you, you trip somebody or whatever the case is, you get a yellow card, and then you want to argue with him, he can just take out the red card and say, you're out. Also, people need to control their temper.
Did you ever get carded in game?
I did not.
Okay.
I mean, no, I didn't. I was a kicker. Like, I would do whatever I could to get the ball. So, yeah, sometimes I would kick people. Not on purpose, but...
You get a few shins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was never carded, which was nice because, that's a scary thing to ever get.
I probably was like, I'm sorry.
I know, I'd be like, I'm so sorry, please don't. Please don't do this to me.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's the one time where the referee was like, be careful. I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, this... Now that you said that. So,
it's bringing back the memory.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so one time, our middle school, we weren't the greatest. Like, we had good players, don't get me, like, individual players. But as a team, we weren't the greatest. We would get whooped really bad. So, I remember one game, I was hanging out with the referee. Like, he was just like, hey, I was like, oh, how's it going, or whatever. We were having a whole conversation. Because our team was kind of struggling on the sidelines, but, it was middle school, right? So it was one of those, like, little kid bunched up all by the ball. Well, I was defense, so I would fall back. And the referee was just kind of like, we were just hanging out. And then I think at some point the ball came to me. I ran, I kicked the ball out. And then I fell back, and we just like, oh, so where were, just kind of keeping it. Like, oh. That was the most memorable, like, game experience.
Interaction. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I was playing a game, but really I was hanging out with the referee.
It was social hour for you, definitely.
Yep. Oh, man. Those soccer times. But, okay, so another thing that I do have on my notes was FIFA. So, I think a lot of people hear of, like, FIFA, like, because of the video games or, soccer and all that. But, and I meant to write down the Spanish version, the actual version, but it wasn't Spanish, but then the way it was written didn't seem Spanish, so I was like, I'm just going to do the English translation.
For me, when I saw it, it looks like it says Federation, but it has, like, little acentos. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, wait, is it supposed to be pronounced in English?
And then it was Internacional, but then at the end had an E, so I was like, Internacionale?
What is this?
Yeah, so I just did and then afterwards I had the English translation, so I was like, okay, you know what, most of this, or our podcast is in English, so I'm just going to give the English translation. Yeah. So FIFA stands for the International Federation of Association Football. They are an organization that's responsible for organizing major international tournaments, which includes the World Cup. And so, just a FYI, the next World Cup is in Qatar, and it is in 2022. So we're 2 years away from the next World Cup, which is super exciting. And I feel like that's kind of how more people have been, like, aware or, I guess, of soccer, the game itself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only time I ever really watched soccer.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I don't pay attention to any of the clubs or anything, which is probably the biggest disappointment for me as a Hispanic person. So they're like, how dare you? But it's just, that's how we were raised. Well, I don't know.
I don't know why I was acting surprised, because it's not until now, like, as an adult, that I've watched more soccer games. Like, again, Hispanic home, the soccer was on, but I remember sitting there like, I really want to, like, I tried, and then I would get bored. I'm like, okay, I don't even know what's going on. It's not that big of a deal. But I think it wasn't until, like, we started going to Dynamo games, you know, you're in that environment, so you gotta get caught up in the hype. Yeah. And then, the World Cup, they would play it at my company. They would play not during lunchtime, but, they had morning games, like 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then later afternoon. So they would have them playing, and so a lot of us would go to the cafeteria, and it was just like a thing. And so I got into it even more. And so, like, now I won't go out of my way to, like, oh, there's, like you said, those, like, clubs or those little, like, those leagues, But occasionally I will watch one because my husband's, like, super into it. Like, they're hardcore, right? So they'll play it, and I'll just sit there, and I'm like, okay, Sometimes the game's good, and I'll sit there and keep watching it. Sometimes I'm like, it's not that great. But I know what's going on now as a comparison to when I was younger, so.
True.
There's that.
You're like, oh, this is why they called that, or whatever. You're like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Oh, soccer.
But speaking about FIFA, I found it was founded in 1904, and it was signed by representatives from France, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. But England and other British countries didn't join until, like, the next year, because they're like, oh, we invented it. Why are we going to sign this for some other organization to have it, compiled together?
Interesting.
Like, yeah.
Sassy.
I mean, I get it. You're like, this is our game. How are you, somebody else, going to get, like, organize it? But to imagine from that point to where it is now, like, imagine if they hadn't signed it ever.
That's true. That is true. I mean, they come up with a lot of stuff. Oh, speaking of World Cup, though, I just had, like, a light bulb moment. So for the World Cup, kind of going back to the World Cup, FIFA, obviously, they organize it, and so different countries will actually apply to FIFA, basically saying, hey, I think we would be good to host the World Cup. And so, obviously, you have to be able to have, the stadiums and be able to have, you just basically, like, showcase, like, hey, we can host this, we can do it. And that's kind of how they determine where it's going to be the next 4 years, and, so on and so on. So,
where was it, like, Houston specifically in the running for it recently?
I think they were, okay, so after Qatar, I think there was talks about them combining, like, I think it was Canada and the U.S.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I should have checked, but I do remember them. We were up in the race. I mean, I don't know if it had gotten approved, but I knew that was a thing, which would be pretty cool because then you don't have to travel, right?
That's true.
Because we were gonna go to the Brazil one, but then we didn't.
Oh, like, you were going to travel?
Yeah.
To Brazil?
We were going to do it. And then afterwards, it was like, because I was 2014. I had graduated high school, so I was like, maybe. But then, again, at that point, I was like, am I really into soccer? Like, of course, I would want to go to Brazil, but then it was just like, tickets are pretty expensive, all of that. Mm-hmm. Then, 2018, right? Yeah, 2018, and I graduated college. And then I was like, okay, I'll go for that. But it was in Russia. And again, it was like, that's, again, I would want to go to Russia. But the same thing, like, it's pretty expensive. Did I save up for it? Because really, I just graduated college. Yeah. So.
Probably not.
Yeah. Didn't go. But I watched it, so.
I mean, that counts. Yep. And it's not the same as being there, but hey.
True. It's okay. I go to Dynamo games all the time, so.
Yeah, you've actually been to a lot of games, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not a member or anything, but, I mean, I have gone to quite a few. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I've only been to, like, one big soccer game.
Really? Which one?
Yeah. Mexico versus Argentina.
Oh. Oh,
I don't remember. It was Mexico. That's all I remember. Because I took my parents, so I was like, hey, I'm going to bump up in your favorite child list. Take it to the soccer game. Mexico soccer game.
I'd be like, I got this.
I need to move up in ranks.
Yep. Well, did you have any other, like, fun facts or anything like that?
Just in ancient Greece, like, just to go back, that the ball is made of shreds of leather and filled with hair.
Ooh,
like,
what?
That's how they played. Yeah, that's the ball they play with. Which is kind of gross. But, I mean, you had to use what you got. Well, I'm glad now it's just filled with air, not with hair. So, but, I mean, yeah. Nice.
Okay, well, I guess speaking of soccer still, but diverting a little bit, our next topic is going to be Nike. So yes, Nike. That one's pretty cool. Okay, so this one came up amongst you and I because, again, I think we were talking about, like, branding and, like, different companies and why some brands just have a different prestige, or why, in the eyes of the consumer, it's more attracting. Is it their performance?
It's held at so much of a higher level than any other
exactly
thing. Yeah.
So then it makes you wonder, like, well, what is it about it? Like, I mean, is it the quality? Is it the price? Is it the whole package? Is it just the branding and all of that, you know? So when I started looking into the history of Nike, I was like, I read the first line and I was automatically blown away. So Nike is formerly known as the Blue Ribbon Sports. So that used to be their name.
Yeah.
Which, when you think about it, like, I mean,
if they would have kept that name, it would have never. I don't think it would have ever reached the success point it is today.
I don't think so either. Which is also pretty crazy how, like, even that part, like, that much of it, like, makes a huge difference. It really does. Like, it has to be catchy, and I don't know. Now it's different, right? Because it's built up its name to the point where, like, that's the norm. Like, you're used to that. But when you compare it, then you're like, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's catchier. Blue Ribbon Sports is pretty long compared to Nike.
True. But it was founded in 1964 by Bill Bowerman, who was a track and field coach at University of Oregon, and his former student, Phil Knight. And so, like, they got together. What I have was that Knight was the first student to try one of Bowerman's shoes. Am I saying Bowerman's?
Bowerman, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No S.
I just want to make sure it was sounding kind of right and not like, who is this person?
Unless it's Bowerman?
Bowerman?
Oh, man.
Whatever.
Okay,
it's fine.
Let's go with Bowerman.
We already said it was going to be wrong.
No worries.
And so he had offered Knight to take one of his shoes, kind of fix him up, and create his own custom design. And so Knight was like, okay, yeah, sure. Whatever, I don't really care. The shoes actually worked so well for Knight that one of his other teammates, Otis Davis, took them and ended up using them to win gold in the 400-meter dash in the 1960
Olympics, right? Yeah. I read that. That's pretty cool.
Which is, it's crazy. Like, he was like, I point most of my success of doing so well because of how these shoes are made. And so it's...
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, it was like, this guy, Bowerman, was like, let me just fix up this kid's shoes. It's not a big deal. Whatever, I'm just going to help this kid out. And then that kid took his shoes to somebody else, and he won the Olympics wearing those shoes. Which is crazy how far he had to, like, it was a simple two-step person thing. And he created such success from something so simple for him, you know?
Right. And I was going to say, which, you know, I mean, I'm no, like, cross-country or, you know, professional runner or anything like that, but I can definitely see, I don't know, I guess his excitement. I mean, as a runner, I mean, if you run with crappy shoes, like, it makes such a huge difference when you have something that gives you support and, like, I guess functions or gives you that comfort that you need to do what you got to do. So I can definitely see that, you know, especially when somebody, and this kind of goes back to our last episode, when you're passionate about something or when you love something, like, you're going to tell the world. Like, you're going to share it with people, especially, like, if it's great, if it works for you, you're going to want other people to try it. And I think that has a lot to do with, too, because it spoke volume, especially because this was a huge, it was the Olympics, right? So, you have all eyes on you, and then you're saying, hey, man, like, it was the shoes.
Yeah.
Or maybe not all the shoes, but they contributed.
A little bit of shoes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then did you get that, okay, so I don't have, there was some drama with.
Oh, yeah, like, the initial company they were with, I guess?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you
I didn't read into it.
Okay. So, I have the details. I don't have them fully organized, so I don't want to, like, be jumping around like, oh, this happened. No, it didn't, But they were with, like, they had ties or partnership with another company, or, well, now it's another company. But the interesting part about it is that now that other company is Asics. Like, that's the other shoe brand. Mm-hmm. Which is also pretty interesting to me because, hey, you make the best of the situation, and so you move forward and, fine, we're going to go separate ways, but we're both going to find success differently. So,
yeah.
That's really the biggest takeaway. Of course, had a lot to do with, they were manufacturing them in Japan, and then in the end, they came back and they wanted somebody else to do it, and that's kind of how the whole situation, the turmoil kind of came up. They had to get a lawyer. The lawyer said, you know what, you're going to use the same model. You can take it from there, but, like, that was the split. And so, from there, that's how we got Asics. And then, of course, that's how Nike then renamed itself. And then used that because it was a brand. They had used it as a brand, but it wasn't the company name. After the whole split, that's kind of where the Nike, the company decided to rename itself Nike. Mm-hmm. Now, the cool thing that I found was the inspiration of the logo, which we all say it's a check mark, or at least I've heard everyone say it's a check mark, but really, it's a swoosh.
Yes.
Which, I don't know why people wouldn't call it a swoosh, because I think swoosh sounds better than a check mark. So the inspiration came from Jeff Johnson after seeing the Greek goddess of victory's name in a dream. So it was really just came off of a dream. Which, let me tell you, if I went off of inspiration of my dreams, I would make up some, like, weird stuff. Like, you can ask my family. I have weird dreams.
Talking about the logo, so it was created by a Portland State University student named Carolyn Davis. Mm-hmm. She created it for $35. And then, so when she actually gave the logo to Phil Knight to kind of look at it and approve of the design, he was like, I don't really care for it. His direct quote was, I don't love it, but maybe it will grow on me.
I did read that.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think he was like, it's okay. Sure, I guess this is the best option for now. And how it's become such a universally recognizable logo for, like, pretty much sports in general.
Exactly. One of the things that I also read was part of Nike's success is due to their endorsements by these big athletes, but also by their clever ad campaigns. So in 1988, which blew my mind because I did not know this, but 1988 is where the Just Do It came about. Like, that's where that slogan came from. Was obviously from an ad campaign. But when I saw the date on that, again, we go back to, like, when we were talking about Lego, how you just kind of assume that this stuff is, like, way back when. It, like we were talking about 1970 World Cup and all of that. Like, 1988 isn't, like, around the corner. But to me, I was thinking, like, way, like
from the beginning of the company, where they were like, oh, this is a perfect slogan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We'll talk about endorsements. Some of the big celebrity endorsements they have. Some of the athletes are Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, and then LeBron James in like the early stages of their career. Mm-hmm. And then another big one is Michael Jordan.
Yep, which I totally remember. Oh my goodness. What grade was I in? I think I was in 6th grade. I had to have been 6th grade or 7th grade. I do remember, not when people started, but I remember like they were a big deal. They were a huge deal. I remember people saying like they would come to school like boasting about, yeah, we stood in line for 2 hours. And, you know, and how they would walk funny because they didn't want to put any creases on them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That was a huge deal. And I did read like that's still one of the biggest, like, it still brings in a lot of money.
Yeah, it's the biggest like revenue for them or something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and so he actually wanted to sign a deal with Adidas before because he had never worn a pair of Nikes in his life. And so he was like, oh, I'd rather go with Adidas, but somehow he worked it out with a meeting in which they promised him $500,000 a year for 5 years, 2 die-cast Mercedes cars, and then shoes customized to his specific requests. And you know how you're talking about the Air Jordans? When it hit the market, it made over $100 million in revenue by the end of 1985.
Wow. See, this is also a learning moment. Like, if you are in sales, in any kind of sales, like, this is a great inspiring moment for you guys. Like, take a moment and realize, like, all it takes is a good salesperson, or like, yeah, or just in general, like, you gotta sell it. You gotta sell it to the people. Like, sell it to your customer, and you will get business. People want to be taken care of, no matter what industry you're in. Like, people want to be taken care of, and they want to know that you care. It's not just about like, oh, I have the best deal. It's like, hey, are you going to take care of me? Are you going to be, you know, following through with what you said? Like, it makes a huge, I mean, a lot of people forget, like, if you're making a deal with a person, they're still a person at the end of the day. Like, yeah, they're representing and they have a title and what it is, but they're still a human being. And a lot of us like to be taken care of. We want to feel important. We want to feel like catered to. So if you're in sales, this is your takeaway. Take this as an inspiration. Like, just, there you go. Free marketing or sales leadership training.
Advice.
Now, one other thing that I didn't know this, maybe you did, but when I read this, in 2004, Nike actually acquired Converse for $309 million.
I knew that they had acquired it, but I didn't know like when or for how much. That's a lot of money.
I didn't know that they had acquired them. This whole time, I don't know. I didn't see that on the news, or maybe, I don't know. Again, I'm saying I don't know a lot because I'm just like still mind blown about it, because I still thought they were in their own thing. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Well, I mean, if you think about it, Converse was the original basketball shoes, right?
Was it?
So Oh. We can go into a whole story about Converse, but...
Well, I guess we have a future topic then.
Yeah. But, I mean, you would think Nike, so big into, like, the sports shoes or whatever, would acquire another one. At least one that they can be... That isn't so much... So it's no longer its competition.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Now, in 2015, Nike became the official supplier for NBA apparel. Again, when you make a move like that, like... I mean,
you're gonna get money.
You're moving up. You definitely are. Now, in 2018, Nike unveiled a campaign featuring athlete and political activist Colin. I don't want to mess this up, but I think it's
Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this obviously brought a lot of like mixed public approval and backlash. So there was that whole thing.
Yeah, and Nike isn't, immune to it. They've been through a lot of controversy, especially with the way that they supply their shoes, because the whole foundation of this company was to get really good quality shoe, but for a lot cheaper and less, a lot of cheaper labor. And so a lot of the controversy stemmed from that they were using sweatshops, and so there was this whole thing where, like, I guess it was also the reason they split up with the ASICS company, right?
In the very beginning.
Where they were originally, they were originally in Japan. They moved to cheaper labor in South Korea, China, and Taiwan. And then Nike ended up moving away from South Korea and Taiwan to focus on China, Indonesia, and Vietnam. And so, like, a lot of their their stuff came from sweatshops because it was so much cheaper to make, but they would make so much more money by selling it at a higher price than what they were getting it for. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and so I think it was 1991. Yeah. Activist Jeff Ballinger published a report in 1991 documenting the poor working conditions of Nike's operations across Indonesia. And so, you know, they ended up, I think Nike ended up, like, raising the amount they were paying and stuff. But it went through a lot of trouble to get to where it is kind of now where it's at. And so some people still don't even think it's not perfect for them either.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, but they've moved up a lot from what they were before.
Right. Oh, man. Well, I mean, and that's kind of how it happens, you know, with companies like that, you know. You do stuff and it either take a hit, it can, you know, kind of backlash on you, or you can take a move in the right direction. But it's, you know, it's just companies in general. And if kind of jumping into our next topic,
another major company,
which we'll probably run this one a little quickly. We're going to be talking about Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I guess I want to throw in there is Coca-Cola is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. 2 years ago, I actually went to their museum. Oh. So if you're listening and you're considering it, or if you've heard about it, I would recommend it. It's a great experience. It's aesthetically, just eye-catching. It's amazing. You walk through it, you go through their history, through their change in logos and kind of how all of that happened. I think one of the best parts about it is that they have a big room where they have different like fountains, like kind of like when you go to McDonald's or, you know, to any restaurant, and they have like the push buttons where it plays out. Okay. They have that, but they have it by country. So they'll have like the country, and then they'll have the different flavors and like what stems from Coca-Cola, like what flavors they produce. But there's some that you can like that are similar, right? So you'll have orange here, and then you'll have like a Fanta orange over here from Mexico and stuff like that. And you can definitely taste the difference. Like, even though it is the same flavor, how the region itself like affects the flavor of it. Yeah. Some of them were not good at all. I'll tell you that much. And it was a lot of sugar if you wanted to go through each one. Like, I don't think I tasted every single one, because eventually I couldn't. But I think my little brother and my sister-in-law went through all of them. They kept pouring. I mean, they didn't fill up their cups, right? It was just enough to taste. But it was pretty awesome because, again, you get a feel for, you know, the different regions. And that just goes to show you, like, Coca-Cola is obviously an international company. It's global. It's, again, like Nike, it's one of those things where you just, you grow. And it has a lot to do with its branding, what it stands for. I guess, again, just being clever about how you campaign things. So, again, also, if you're in marketing, here's another free training. Like, you make such a huge difference. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I sit and watch commercials, and I will judge them based off of, like, this was good, I would buy this, I would try it out, or that was corny. I mean, I know I'm corny, but, you know, there's a limit.
Yeah. I feel like I'm really spiteful when it comes to commercials, because if I see a commercial either way too many times or the commercial is way too annoying, I will specifically not buy that product because of how that commercial affects me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that has the complete opposite effect of what people would want. But that's just how I am as a person.
And I think that's also the risk, though, because, you know, they may try it out. Again, I'm not in marketing, so I don't know how every company's different. But I'm pretty sure they may try it out with like, a test group, or, you know, try to get certain approval and see how people respond to it. But, you know, when if it's a smaller scale, it's harder for you to realize, like, how is everyone else. And, in fact, actually, I think Coca-Cola once did a ad, or it was a book or a brochure or something like that, and they did it, I think it was it might have been in like Qatar, but I think don't they read from like right to left instead of left to right? Okay, well, it was one of those Middle East areas where they actually read, like, see their pictures from right to left rather than us, how we read from left to right. Yeah. And they, Coca-Cola did one where the polar bear was, what was it? He's searching for the Coca-Cola. He sees it. He grabs it. He drinks it. And then he lays down. Or something like that. The point is that whenever they saw it backwards. So to them, the polar bear, like, drinking they interpreted it that if you drink the Coca-Cola, then you're going to end up, like, on the ground, like, dead. Like, that was interpretation, when in reality it was supposed to be, oh, you drink it and you feel relaxed or you feel refreshed. Yeah. But they, so again, I guess interesting. We turn this into, like, a marketing thing, but
yeah, even take that whole Pepsi commercial where everybody was, like, with, who was it? Kendall Jenner?
One of them. Yeah, I think it was.
One of the Jenner, yeah. Where it was, like, this huge thing where people were so, like, outraged at how that commercial did that they ended up pulling it really quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So, branding and marketing is such a huge thing, but obviously we're not experts in it.
Yep.
But, you can just go off base what we've experienced as human beings.
Right. So, again, we'll do a quick rundown. So, again, Coca-Cola began in Atlanta in 1886 when Dr. John S. Pemberton was curious and created a flavored syrup. He mixed it with carbonated water, and then when people tried it, they obviously liked it or had a good response to it. Frank M. Robinson was responsible for naming it Coca-Cola. And obviously, for those of you who don't know, Coca-Cola did have, I think it was cocaine. Right, originally.
Yeah, from the Coke.
Obviously, they didn't now. You don't have that now.
Yeah, the cocaine was removed in about 1903.
Oh, wow.
So a good while. Mm-hmm. Before they took it out.
Now, in 1894, there was a growing demand for the Coca-Cola, and so there was a desire to make the beverage portable. So Joseph Biden Harn, I butchered that name, installed bottling machinery in the rear of the Mississippi soda fountain. So that became, like, they became the first to put Coca-Cola in bottles, which is actually really cool. Which I think bottled Coca-Colas taste a lot better than the canned ones, just my opinion.
Yeah. What's your opinion on, like, the Mexican bottled Coca-Colas tasting?
Okay. So when I was in college, I would go to Sam's Club and I would buy the 24-pack of bottled Mexican Coca-Colas, and I would drink one a day. So
one a day?
That lets you know how much I love it.
How much you like it?
Yes. So, okay. I said, fun fact, my grandfather was actually addicted to the Coca-Colas. So when my mom saw that I was kind of going down the same path, she told me I should probably stop because I would drink one a day. So obviously not the healthiest thing, but you did mention.
Yeah, so I was watching this show where they were talking about how Coca-Cola has impacted, almost every single nation on Earth, and how there was this point where Coca-Cola actually ran this campaign saying that the sugar in it wasn't actually bad for you. It was the fat and other foods that was causing people to be overweight.
Like what you were accompanying it with?
Yeah, because they were like, oh, we can't have people thinking that our drink is making them sick and things, because they were like, oh, it would ruin our thing or like our company and stuff. So they were actually paying scientists to say that it wasn't sugar that was making you sick.
Were they paying them to say like the false, or just paying them to do the research?
No, paying them to say it was like that was false.
So they were like bribing them.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, you can't ever say. I mean, I guess like I don't doubt though they got in trouble or anything about it, which kind of sucks, because as like somebody in the scientific community, to think that you could easily be bribed to say something was scientifically false
kind of takes away your credibility.
Yeah, it ruins your credibility immensely, and so it's kind of like, why would you do that? There's like real science that says it, but it's Coca-Cola has some dark pieces behind it.
Ay.
Did you see anything about, like, how they took out the new Coke?
No.
And how, so, yeah, they came out with, like, a new recipe for it.
And then people didn't like it.
Hated it, yeah.
So then it turned into, like, the Coca-Cola Classic.
Yeah, and then it was, like, new Coke or whatever. I don't really... Is there... No, it came out in 1985. We weren't born yet, so...
1.7 billion servings of Coke products are consumed every single day. Every single day. That's is
so much.
Crazy. So...
I mean, I can't say anything. I drink Coke. I mean, I know it's bad for you. But sometimes you just get a hangry. You're like, if I want to go really good with what I'm eating right now.
Yes.
A nice cold Coke.
I think that's another thing, too. It's the association of knowing, like... Yeah, I mean...
But then again, that goes with that marketing that they put in place for so many years, where you do the click and it goes, after you drink it. So...
And you really do. You really, really do. It's...
Yeah.
I mean... For me, after a while, like, if I haven't drank it for a while, and when I first take it, like, it takes a moment, because
it just burns?
Yeah, it's like, whoa. But then afterwards, it really just, like, I don't know. I feel like I sound like an addict, like, somebody who's been, like, in rehab from not
Well, having... I mean, good thing they took out that cocaine from it. Could you imagine now how many coke addicts there would be?
Very true. Very, very true. So, again... We realize that we've made it a little bit past our time, but there's so much to share, there's so much to give. So at the very end, just kind of want to request a few things from y'all. I'm very interested. We talked about soccer, so if you have any soccer tricks, and I'm saying this because the other day, I went in my backyard and I started working on being able to dribble the ball a little bit.
I can't do that.
So, well, I couldn't either, but I challenged myself. So, I'm challenging you guys. If you're listening to this, you made it to the very end, send us your video of the tricks that you've done, or whatever you can do with the ball. Send it to us, and we'll make sure to share that and post that on our Instagram. So, fun. And we also talked about Nike. So, if you are a Nike fanatic, or you... own a pair of Nikes, send us in a picture or let us know down below why you like Nike so much. And then lastly, we talked about Coca-Cola. So if you do like drinking Coca-Cola, send us a picture of your which I think I did that really great.
Oh, you know what? I also want to know who calls it pop.
People up north. You know what?
But does anybody else do it?
But you know what? I know. Okay, so... Okay, I'm just going to be calling out the whole world. So, when I went to Chicago to visit my family up north, if you say Coke, it's a different meaning. Like, they don't... Like, you got to say soda, because if you say Coke, it's like, what? And they do call it pop.
Like, as in the drug, or...
I guess so,
or is it
yeah.
just confusing?
Yeah, it's just... Oh. Yeah, like... Or like we may say, oh, do you have any Coke? Like, as in, like, do you have any other soda? But they may take it literal. So it's very confusing up north. Now, if you're listening to this and you are from up north, correct me if I'm wrong. But at least from what I know, I remember, like, they restaurants and people there do refer to it as pop.
Interesting.
So we're gonna pop on out of here. We gotta leave with some corniness. So again, just make sure you subscribe, you share, you comment, you like, and you have a great day.
I'll see you guys.